This is one of my favorite features of Grid. It's the ability to control your layouts with intuitive names that you define. You can assign names and build out a matrix of how you want your items to reside within the grid. It's super awesome. With CSS Grid layout, the default way to place items on the containing grid is by specifying the lines where they start and end. Grid areas are an alternative to providing lines and offer a way to name grid areas so that the items can easily fit into those named areas. Once you have the areas named, you'll use the Grid Template Areas property to control where those items reside. It may seem a bit confusing at first, but the power of grid areas quickly becomes evident once you start using it. Each element first needs a grid area declaration in the CSS. Then you can take those and reference them in the parent container declaration using Grid Template Areas. Once these elements are named, we can use the names to arrange the layout visually in the parent grid container. Let's take a look at how we can do this. The page that I have set up is very simple. I simply have a header, a nav, a main, and a side, and a footer. In regards to the CSS, I've already applied a display grid on the body, which is the parent containing element. I'm also using a declaration to target every item that is a child of the body. This adds the border, the font color, font size, text align padding, and a default background color. Then I'm overriding that default background color by specifying that each element, except for main, which is using the default, each other element will have some sort of background color. Now let's get in and start talking about grid area. As I mentioned, in order to use the grid template areas, we first need to assign a name to every element that we want to control within the grid. We do this by using the grid area property. Once I have the grid area property, I'm going to assign a value. The value can be anything you want it to be. It does not have to match the name of the element. In my case, just to keep things organized, I am going to use the name that matches my elements. But be aware that that is not a requirement. The values can be anything that you want. And often I will use initials or shorter names just because that will require that you use less code when you start to assign these names to the various portions of the grid. I'm also going to make a declaration for main since I don't have an existing declaration for that particular element, and we will just assign a name of main. Now that we have these names defined, we can go into the container, which in this case is the body, and we can use the Grid Template Areas property. In order to use this, you will use quotation marks and you will define every row and then specify which item you want to appear within that row. You need to decide ahead of time how many columns that you want to create because you'll need to specify a name for each column. I am going to create a 4-column grid. My first row is going to just display the header. Then I'll jump down to the next row. For this one, I'm going to have the nav display. Then I'll have main take up 2 columns, and then I'll have the aside display. And then finally, for the final row, I'm going to display my footer across the entire bottom row. Now that I have this specified, if I save and we refresh our page, you can see how the grid has been transformed into the layout that I've specified using Grid Template Areas. What I'm going to do is I'm also going to use Grid Template Rows, and I'm going to declare that the first row take up 1 FR, the middle row take up 4 FR, and the bottom row take up 1 FR. This will allow the main or middle row to take up more vertical space. Setting this up does take a little bit of time because you do need to name all of your items, but once you have it set up, it literally is such a snap to change things around. Let's say I want to reorganize this. Maybe I want to have 4 rows. All I need to do is add another row, and we'll go ahead and have our nav appear within the second row. Then I'll change what's going on here and have main take up the first 3 columns and aside take up the 4th, and then the footer can be at the bottom. If we refresh now, you can see that my layout has changed. Now, because of how I defined my grid template rows, nav is taking up a lot of space. Let's adjust this down. And if we save now and refresh, you can see that everything kind of reorganizes. Now, even though I used a quarter fraction and 1 fraction, you can see how these elements are taking up similar space. Part of the space is content-based. So because of the size of my text, this particular row has to take up this much space, which in this example happens to match what's going on with my first and my last row. You can always switch this up and create very complex layouts. You just can't make any of the items take up any sort of L type of shape, but we could certainly have our aside, for instance, take up more space in the last column by simply redefining what's going on in our grid template areas. I really love the grid template areas because I've found it to really help with any sort of complexity in the layout. It's also great for creating responsive web pages, which we will be getting into shortly. It allows you to very easily define a whole different layout based on different screen sizes. I would encourage you to think about how you can use the grid template areas property along with the grid areas so that you can be in precise control of how your layouts are going to display within the web.